What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Today we're going to be going through some more of the Last Jedi novel, specifically chapter 3. I don't know if I'll go through every single chapter. It kind of just depends on what I think gives a decent enough video and also how far I can make it without wanting to slam my head through a wall. So I made it through one chapter, just barely. I made it through one more chapter on this one. And so we're going to go through chapter 3. I've titled this Hux is Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. And I'll get into that further as I kind of go through what happens in this chapter. But it starts off and it's Connix, who is Billy Lord's character. And she's discussing with the blue droid that you may have seen, PZ. And PZ's telling her that there's some first order ship showing up, and she says there's one capital ship, seems to be a dreadnought, and it's about 7,500 meters in size. And Connix is just like, oh my god, I can't believe that this is so terrible. The horrors, this is the worst thing imaginable. I can't imagine that something so big and so bad could be coming. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Let's just put some context in this real quick. The context is, she says that they've been sending information to the Republic this entire time about what the First Order's been building. They've been sending holograms and they've been sending blueprints to them so that they could see and know that something bad is happening. So she's seen these. She knows these exist. And one of them we know they have is Snoke's ship. When it first pops up, Poe immediately goes, that's Snoke's ship. They know it's there. Later on, when Poe, Finn, and Rose are trying to make a plan on how to stop the tracker, they have a blueprint of the Supremacy. Now, the Supremacy is 60,000 meters wide. Wide. That's not even talking about length. That's just width. 60,000. And in that 60,000, that's, about 8 times, a little more, or maybe just a little less, around 8 times the size. She knows this, and yet she hears this and she goes, oh my god, this is so terrible. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is so bad. I couldn't imagine the horrors the First Order would build. This is so stupid. It's just like they can't stop screwing up. Everything they do is a screw up. They're so stupid. They're so dumb. It's unbelievable how awful they are at writing. I mean, so this is like this. It's hard to even put into context how dumb this is. But let's just say one of the biggest human beings that we've really known. Let's just imagine something that may have existed at some point. Let's just say giants were real at some point. Whether or not they are, I don't know. I don't get into all that crap. We've got a guy that's 9 foot tall. Let's just 10 foot tall. 600 pounds. He can deadlift 2,000 pounds. He can squat 2,500 pounds. He can bench press 1,500 pounds. He's got a power clean of 1,500 pounds. He can do a double front flip dunk. He can run like a 5-second 100 meters. This freak athlete, he's all that size but has zero body fat. He's just shredded muscle, warrior, beast. You're going to have to fight that person. And then someone says, oh, by the way, here's somebody. They're 5 foot tall. They're 120 pounds. They can deadlift like 100 pounds and squat like 150. They've got like a bench press like 55 pounds. And they can't power clean. And you're like, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever seen and heard of. This is so terribly dangerous. Oh, what are we going to do? It's so dumb. It's so stupid. And you may say, but wait. She was just talking about the weapon it had because it's a fleet killer. It can destroy a base. But she didn't know that. This is discussing the size, is what happens when she makes these comments. I mean, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. So then they get into the fuel thing. So they haven't finished fueling up, and it's going to take 90 minutes to finish fueling up. And so Connix decides that they've got to leave. They don't have the time, so they're going to leave. and they're going to, try to escape. And once they escape, then they can worry about refilling and, getting back going. And so that's what they decide. And so Leia's like, y'all got to go. We got to get out of here. And she says, I'm sorry, it's taking time. We need time. And so that's when Poe, being the toxically masculine, just awful human being that only cares about himself and glory, says shyly, not really, he's kind of like, I don't, I got an idea. And Leia's like, of course, is this going to be something I don't like? And he's like, kind of think it says in his head that, he wishes he could have said it more persuasively or whatever. And then she's like, all right, well, go do it. Man, that is the way you guys that have been portraying this to me the whole time, saying that I'm wrong and saying, Poe he stole the fleet. He kidnapped everybody. He tied up Leia and he fled, and it was just some rogue guy breaking all the rules. Every rule and regulation, he broke it. He needs to be killed. He needs to be chopped in little pieces and burnt, because this is so awful. This is so heinous. I can't believe they wrote this. I mean, Jason Fry is a kid's author, and he wrote this heinous, awful decision that Poe made. It's just terrible to read. I mean, that he sat there because all of the people are about to die and they need a way off the planet and they need a distraction and no one knows what to do. And so Poe, the stupid idiot man, comes up with an idea and says, well, let me put myself on the line all by myself, and says, I've got a plan. And Leia, the smart woman, goes, oh, I'm not going to like this, Selma. It's probably stupid because you're a man. And then he's like, oh, I wish I could say this a little more smoothly. And she's like, oh, well, go. And man, it's just, I take everything I've said back. Poe is disgusting. He is it's an awful. It's terrible. It's terrible. Anyways, that was it's so dumb. You can't even begin, even in this chapter. He makes a comment and says, so first off, Leia, perfectly fine with the situation happening. No issue with it. When she wants to get all the people off of it, she's got no problem using Poe and his toxic masculinity to go out and to hop in an X-Wing and blow stuff up, which is the only thing that's ever happened. This is her rule for everything. Like, all of a sudden it's a bad thing because Rian Johnson is an idiot. But let's see, Death Star first attack. Jump in an X-Wing and blow stuff up. Hoth attack coming. Jump in snow speeders. Okay, so she got me on that one. They did not jump in X-Wing and go to blow stuff up. They jumped in snow speeders and tied stuff up. So that one got me on that one. The second Death Star, it was kind of jump in a Millennium Falcon and blow stuff up. So maybe I'm wrong with this. Maybe she is right. The problem with Poe wasn't that he was blowing stuff up and making decisions. It was that he kept doing it in X-Wing. You got to rotate it out, Poe. Just keep changing them up, and then she'll be fine. She'll be fine. New vehicles every day kind of thing. That's what she likes. What happened in Starkiller Base? Jumping in X-Wing and blow stuff up. Okay, so then we get to the next movie, and it's Poe goes and jumps in X-Wings and to blow stuff up. Okay, and then after he gets in trouble for just jumping in an X-Wing and blowing stuff up, Princess Leia says, you're demoted, and then the First Order shows up, and she says, go jump in an X-Wing and blow stuff up. It's just so stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever. Good guy. Okay, back to chapter 3, because I kind of jumped ahead there a little bit. So then it goes to Hux. And Hux, it starts out and it says how he assesses the entire, all of the warships of the Resistance like that for his years of training, that he can just boom, boom, know everything, know exactly what to do kind of thing. So it's portraying him in his head, this is what I'm able to do. And then he looks down and he sees that all of the people there, it's just running perfectly. His bridge is operating perfectly. And then Peavy comes up, which is an older character that was a part of the Empire. And now here's where we begin to run into Hux is Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. Because viewing himself, this guy is a hero. This guy knows everything that's going on. Everything is running perfectly. Everyone is disciplined. There's no mistakes. There's no issues. And so it discusses that, I'm going to kind of bounce a little bit around this chapter, but it's all in this chapter to kind of put this kind of point all together in one. Poe comes up. And so when Poe comes up, he gets angry at Poe because Poe's the one that destroyed Starkiller Base, which he then says isn't his fault. It wasn't a military mistake. No. You might think it was a military mistake, but it was people on the inside, traitors. These treasonous people screwed it up. But it didn't matter because he could build 20 to 100 more Starkiller bases if that's what he wanted to do. So it didn't matter. Sounds kind of similar to someone being mad about the fans and that we're just sexist and racist. And they didn't make a bad movie. No, the movie is not bad. And we'll make tons of movies. You know how much money Disney's got? We can make movies for years. So forget all of you. You're just traitors and you will be destroyed. You may think, well, it's stretching it a little bit. Well, just hold on. Let's continue to get into this. So he does it like Peavy, because Peavy's from the Empire, and he's something old and needs to be, he needs to become pushed out in the process of trying to make him completely obsolete. He does not matter. Now, again, this might sound similar to the old characters and the old fans. Thank you, John Campia, that the fans, Star Wars needs to forget the old fans. Idiot. Anyways, so sounds all familiar, right? Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson looking down on him and views that he thinks that this is just a whole nother empire altogether. Now, in the context of this chapter, Peavy sees that as a positive thing. He thinks this is the rising back up. But if you see it in this perspective of Hux being Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, then it's us who's just saying, dude, you're just copying. This is exactly the same. The First Order is the Empire. Like, it's just a replica. You slightly change the helmets. You change some little adjustments here. The ships are bigger. Oh, frick. They're 7,500 meters bigger. So, I mean, that's pretty huge. But it's a ripoff. And so, under that context, Hux, Kathleen Kennedy / Rian Johnson, responds. And he's like, he's a fool. We're going to get rid of them. This is much greater than the Empire ever was. We're bigger. We can build more weapons. We've got endless resources. We've fixed all of the issues that they had. We've done away with all the weaknesses, and we've perfected all the strengths, which is obviously shown by how they perfected Starkiller Base. But this is Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. We think the original trilogy is great, and they're like, no. We fixed all the issues. You saw the issues? Yeah. Luke, clearly a coward the whole time. Rian Johnson knew this, and he's now showing us this. And Han, terrible father, terrible person. He was never this scoundrel with a heart of gold. He was the scoundrel that was just a scoundrel. That was a terrible person. That's what he was. And then you have all the other people that Akbar, let's just blow them up in one shot. Let's not even waste time trying to destroy them. Let's just get them out. This is better. And this is why now you see all of the fans of the Last Jedi, not all the fans, some of the fans, a majority of the fans, a good bit of the fans, are arguing and trying to break down the original trilogy and say, oh, this is terrible. See, look, you can't even explain what happens at the opening of Return of the Jedi, which was said by Jason Fry, who wrote this stupid novel. This is the genius we have writing this. And it makes me so mad that underneath the book it says New York Times bestseller, all because he'll just push out whatever Disney wants. Because he's done some stupid children's books for Star Wars that have sold because they have Star Wars on it. Not because he can write, because he can't. He can't even understand the opening of Return of the Jedi. And then it's like, oh, well, he's done a bunch of visual dictionaries too. Okay, so they said, hey, see this character? Here's the character's name. Here's the height, weight. Here's where they're from. Here's 2 little interesting nuggets. Write this down. And he goes, okay. Man. New York Times bestseller, Jason Fry. Give me a freaking break. Good Lord. Go back and sit at a pub and discuss how you're unable to understand a movie like Return of the Jedi. Just go back there, sit there, do that. Waste your life doing that. Stop screwing up stuff for us. Okay? Thank you, Jason Fry. You and Rian Johnson, go handle that. Go do that. Go sit in your corner and do stupid stuff. Write this stupid crap and put it somewhere else. Put it in something that doesn't have Star Wars titled on it, and let's see how well it succeeds. Let's see if it has a 90-something rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Or let's see if it's like, I don't know, probably like a 15 or 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's a joke. It's everyone else is the problem. That's Hux's thing. He looks down on Peavy. It's old. He sees the old things as better, but we're better. Look, we've got money and we've made things bigger and things are perfect, even though it cuts to Kennedy, who is the person running the Dreadnought. And he's talking about how untested they are and how undisciplined they are and how Hux prefers grand things happening as opposed to basic military tact. Kind of sounds like they prefer huge visuals with dumb, stupid twists to be kind of grand and shocking without any basic real storyline or plot or quality structure or pacing or any kind of continuity. It almost seems like he's saying that. Sounds familiar. I don't know what that could be connected to. I don't know who else would do something like that and just kind of brag about the money they got and the ability that they can do all these things because they got money, despite the fact that it requires zero talent. I mean, I don't know who that could compare with at all. I don't know. But even if you look at it, taking away hate, getting on how Hux is Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson completely and totally. It's just so stupid. You've got your main bad guy at this point. So you've got Snoke, who's dead. You've got Kylo, and you've got Hux, who at the beginning in Force Awakens, it was somewhat interesting, this concept that they were like feuding brothers. Now, for this to work, you have to keep Snoke alive, which they, of course, didn't because Ryan's an idiot. But for this to work, it could have at least been something interesting. I mean, it would have been interesting to see Vader and Tarkin going at it. It would have been interesting to see these types of things happening. It would have been something a little bit different. It could have added to the story, developed the characters. I mean, the dark side's willing to betray or do whatever they want for power. So why not have this happen? So that's how Hux was set up. And he was this just raging, angry kind of Nazi character that just did not care what he did. He would destroy an entire system of planets with the utmost pleasure. He just loved it. And now he's a joke. Now all of his subordinates are kind of looking at him like, you're an idiot. Hey, General Hugs, calling for General Hugs. And in that scene, they talk about that he felt his cheeks turning red and he was trying to hide it. Oh, he's embarrassed. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to write characters like this? And then you've got the other characters that you kill off that see how dumb they are. Snoke talks about Hux being a dumb, that this is why you keep someone like him around, because every once in a while he'll do something smart. And then you got Kennedy, who looks at him and says he's undisciplined. He's clearly trained up a bad group of people that are untested, and he doesn't understand basic military tact. And we see that. You agree. That's what Kennedy's right, because that's how we see. He can't get away. He fails. He's tossed around by Snoke. Then Kylo tosses him around. So now you've even lost that little battle back and forth, and he's the butt of jokes. I mean, this is just, it is impressive the level of stupidity they use to write this story. I mean, it's impressive. And it's the same as Hux. Hux saying like, man, I'm so great. I can break down everything. Look at my knowledge. I have years of experience and I understand all the warships. Jason Fry can name all of the ships. He's done the visual dictionary. He's so smart. But yet he can't do the thing that's required for his job to be successful. He can't write. He can't put together a coherent story. It was either Heir to the Jedi or Weapon of the Jedi was the Luke Skywalker novel that Jason Fry did between A New Hope and Empire. It was unbearable to read. It was so bad. It was so awful. I haven't heard anyone talk about it as like barely even readable. Like it is awful, awful, awful. But he's a New York Times bestseller. And so it's Hux. This is what these people are. This is what Disney Lucasfilm people are right now. They look down on us. So anyways, Poe's pulled up and Hux is talking about how angry he was. And before this, Connix mentions, or maybe it's Hux mentions, that the reason they were able to get to Dakar is because they followed the trail that the X-Wings left when fleeing Starkiller Base. Now again, this is just stupid. Now first off, all it's doing is trying to heap praise on Rose and kind of fill out an answer of why this happened. Because Rose has just come up with a way to solve this issue, because she's a woman and she's brilliant and she's perfect and she does everything right. And so all the men couldn't come up with it, but she solved the issue that no one else could. No one else. Everyone else is stupid, but Rose is smart. She came up with it, but it was just a day late. Just a little bit late. So Black Squadron, led by Poe, went to First Order base, destroyed Starkiller Base, destroyed it. Planet blows up, killing basically everyone. And then they return to Dakar. This time, they leave a trail. This time, despite in the comics, on many occasions, they've run into the First Order. They've dealt with the First Order. The First Order's entire goal this whole time is to find the Resistance base. Agent Terex, which if you don't know who he was, he's a character from the Poe Dameron comics. He was a leader of a humongous gang, very dangerous character. He's built up as someone that's very respectable and is a challenge. Always one step ahead. But he can't quite figure out how. Poe always covers his tracks and makes sure that they never get back to the base. All these times this happened and they've never been able to follow the trail. But now, Black Squadron, who's been doing this the entire time, screws up and is tracked. After the base is destroyed, people have been killed. They're evacuating. They're not like, oh, we're evacuating, but let's make sure to catch that trail. I mean, it's so stupid. It's so dumb. And you can say, but that's not a plot hole. Okay, but can you admit it's stupid? Can you admit they couldn't have come up with something a little bit better? Just possibly? Like, I don't know, when he froze Rey and brought her away, they put a little something on her outfit so they could track her just in case she got away. Because we're smart. We're thinking the good guys tend to get away. So let's do something smart. If she gets away, we'll be able to track her. Or even better, that was kind of the thing. We kind of let her get away. You couldn't make that work because obviously Kylo freaks out and it wouldn't make sense. But if you would have done it better, you could have done it. And it would have been a little bit similar to New Hope. But don't act like you don't care about that being the case. And then that's how they got there. Then you did something smart. It makes sense. I mean, but no, we followed a trail. The planet blew up. Basically everyone died. Those who escaped, minus Phasma and Hux, escaped running for their lives. And Phasma was chasing after someone to kill him, not trying to follow the trails. And Hux was trying to return to the Supremacy to bring Kylo there. So did he start following the trails then? How long do the trails exist? Like, this is just stupid. This is dumb. It doesn't quite fit with everything else that's been going on. So then Poe is sitting there and he's talking about how this is the only thing that he's comfortable with. That he needs to be in the sky. He needs to be flying around. He needs to be inside of a ship. That everything else just isn't comfortable to him. He can't be on the bridge because he'll screw things up, because he's a man. And that when he's in a ship, he's got the G-forces that are kind of just pulling on his body, and he's a struggle physically to be able to deal with it. And it's this constant puzzle that's going on, and constantly new information, and having to decide and make quick snap decisions on a whim. It's this puzzle, constant moving puzzle, as your body's kind of being just kind of pulled on the entire time with all the G-forces. And he can do this, but he can't stand on the bridge. That's too tough for him because he's a man and he's stupid. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. This is a very smart tactician. Like this guy has been pulling smart tactical things throughout. He is Leia's right hand. He makes these decisions like this in the sky. But when he's on a bridge, he can't figure it out. He's out of his space. Like, it would make sense if you were like, someone's trying to talk him to do politics, which is what we dealt with Tarkin. Tarkin was a brilliant strategist. And Palpatine told him that he needed to start going into politics. And Tarkin was like, that's not really my thing. That's outside of my comfort zone. I can do all these other things. That makes sense. But he's not being a politician. He's just doing tactics, but this time he can see the whole board from a step away instead of right here, like where it's just coming into range at the moment. You're going from like speed chess to checkers at this point, basically. And I'm not trying to dumb down military things, but you understand my kind of where I'm coming from here. It shouldn't be a problem for him. That makes zero sense. This is a stupid writing that we're talking about. And he talks about how you can't tell Leia this. And the only thing that can make sense in this is some form of trying to express that he's this toxic masculinity that men can't express their feelings. Like, it's so stupid. It makes no sense. He's had many in-depth, deep conversations with Leia. He was very close with his mother. This makes zero sense that he would not be able to tell Leia that, hey, when it comes to everything, I'm just most comfortable in the sky. I've never felt more comfortable there. Is that really that hard to say? I mean, yeah, that makes sense. You're the best pilot in the galaxy. You always want to go, and you're willing to solve anything in your ship. That just makes sense. It's just logic. I mean, it's so stupid that oh God, it's just mind-boggling. One other thing I'll kind of bring up just to add to this, like that they don't even pay attention to what's happened so far. And so when Poe's there, and this is ignoring the stupid, calling for general hugs. And, I mentioned that Hux was talking about he was about to blush. Maybe somebody needs to start shipping Hux and Poe. So stupid. But Hux is furious that Poe's still alive. And he says, he's like, I want to capture him. And I'm going to hold him and I'm going to torture him. And I'm not going to let him get away. I'm not going to fail like Kylo did. What? This is Hux. Hux is Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy. Hux failed. Hux is the one that sent all his people to get the information from Poe, and no one could do it. But Hux is now saying, Kylo's sorceries failed, but my technological abilities will not. This is them saying, Lucas, with all of his great story ideas and creativity, the prequels failed. Even though they're ignoring the fact that the original trilogy didn't fail. And really, people still enjoy the prequels. A lot of people enjoy the prequels. I mean, I think as an overall quality movies, they're not, top notch. But they're still better than this crap because there was there's actually something to them. But this is Hux, and this is Kathleen Kennedy. So he in his mind, Kylo failed, even though Kylo was the one that got the information from Poe. And then he says, I'll leave it to you, Hux. And then Poe escapes. They fail to get the droid. Hux is the one that failed, not Kylo. Like, it's just so, it's insane. It leaves me speechless. This happened the last movie. This isn't even screwing up the original trilogy. They're screwing up their own trilogy, which of course we all know. I mean, Rian just kind of gave the bird to JJ. JJ had written an outline for episode 8, and JJ was like, nah, thanks, but I'm going to do what I want. And he did. He did it terribly. And he couldn't, just every line, every little step is just stupider and stupider. More and more stupid. Let's just put it that way. I've been reading their book, so I can't, I'm going to mess up and say more dumb things. I know. Anyways, that's chapter 3. It was terrible. This is awful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Me, breaking it down in my suffering. Starting to hate this, and I'm only at chapter 3. But it's also kind of funny how terrible they are and how stupid they are. At this point, the pain is becoming a little bit numbing. Oh, that reminds me. Oh, I almost forgot this. So, one other thing they mentioned is when Poe's starting to go, and Hux is like, fire, that he slams his fist down, and immediately the pain hits him, and he's worried people are going to see, but they're all paying attention to what they're doing. First off, that's just stupid writing. Second off, that's not true. That doesn't happen. What? This just shows that these are just little white knight, pathetic soy boys that don't know anything about what being a man is, or just being a human for that matter, for being a normal person. Any women out there that are watching this, answer this question as well. But for me, and I believe for most people, in a situation like that where you're angry, your adrenaline's up, if you do something like that would hurt yourself, punch something out of anger, it doesn't hurt in the moment. If you get in a fight and you hit someone, yes, it can hurt your hands, but it doesn't hurt your hand in the moment. It hurts it afterwards because the adrenaline's going. In basketball and football, I've broken my ankle and continued to play the rest of the game. I've shattered my hand in a game so bad that I had to have surgery the next day. And I kept playing, and I wasn't sitting there like, oh, it hurts so bad. It hurts. Because the adrenaline, I'm not trying to, act like some, freak, strong, crazy person. It's the adrenaline. You always hear athletes talk about this. If you watch MMA or fighting, it all the time. There was a fight like last week where a guy just hurt his leg incredibly bad. He finished the fight, and then he just fell to the ground, and he had to be carried out. But he finished the fight because the adrenaline's going. But apparently Jason Fry and Rian Johnson have never been in a fight, and they've never really done anything dangerous, and they've never put themselves in a situation, and they just kind of got angry because Starbucks didn't have any soy milk, and so they kind of hit their hand down, and they're like, oh God, this hurts. Oh, and then they've seen romantic comedies and sitcoms, because this all makes sense for how The Last Jedi was made. And where there'll be this guy, and he's never been in a fight, and he'll go and try to hit this guy, and he'll be like, oh man, it hurts. And they're like, oh, it is true. That is what actually happens to people. And then they're like, let's put this in, and Hux, our bad guy, will slam his fist down, and he'll be like, owie, and it'll be really funny. It's not the case. It doesn't happen. Stop screwing up villains. Stop screwing up just basic storytelling. Logic, everything. Am I wrong? I might ask the people they're watching this. Am I wrong? Have you not been angry about something or been in a fight in which you've been angry and thrown a punch or sporting event or whatever where you've broken something and it not hurt in the moment? Yeah, it hurts later, but it doesn't hurt in the moment because your mind is focused on something else. It's insane how stupid these people are. Insane to me. Anyways, I've gone on long enough. That's chapter 3. Hux is Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. And Jason Fry's an idiot that shouldn't be allowed to do Star Wars. This whole thing is just a mess like the rest of it. Either today, later today, or tomorrow, I'm going to start my solo Legends novel. Going to probably do something similar, go through 1 or 2 chapters and discuss it, talk about it. And so it'll allow us that don't want to watch or kind of be a part of the Disney solo to experience the prior Legends novel. And if you're still going to watch the solo movie, here's you a chance to get a different perspective or kind of build up your excitement maybe, if that's the case, that you're excited about it. And then we can judge whether or not which story was told better. Who did a better job of respecting the lore, understanding the characters. It'll be an interesting thing. We're going to start that either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure. It depends on how quickly I get that done. But I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts down below, discussing it. Hope you enjoyed some of my suffering and pain going through this. You're welcome. Outside of that, as always, thank you guys for watching. And never forget, you Nerferders, I love you.